Hello everybody, welcome to Red Tool House. On today's video, I want to talk about 4 reasons why you need to add a vacuum sealer to your pantry, whether you homestead or not. So today's video will be inside, and I want to show you how we use our vacuum sealer and all the benefits you get from that. Well, one of the most important things when it comes to homesteading, farming, or even food security, of course, is food storage. And that's probably the biggest thing you struggle with is, hey, we can raise food, whether it's livestock or whether it's a great garden. You can raise all those things, but of course you got to figure out how to store them. So the default these days, of course, is using freezers. And we have quite a few freezers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 full-size freezers and a walk-in down at the shop. And we have all those full. And that, of course, takes a lot of space and takes a decent amount of electricity to run. Well, another option you have, of course, is pressure canning. You can pressure can quite a few things, meats, vegetables, even pre-packaged meals if you want. This is some of my wild plum jelly that I made from Pantry on our farm. So you've got a lot of options there as well. But what I'd like you to consider is adding a vacuum sealer to your setup. Vacuum sealers range in all different sizes, styles, and prices, and you have to find the one that fits best for your budget and for your needs. A chamber vacuum sealer is by far the superior of the styles, but you may think they're unaffordable. But I want to introduce you to one that we've been using here a little bit and just show it to you in action as we talk about these 4 reasons as to why you may want to consider adding one of these. Well, if you've followed our channel for any length of time, you know that we each year process a bunch of broiler chickens on the farm, several hundred in a season, and we have to, of course, store those. We put those in the freezer. A vacuum sealer is what we use. Now, we've had the traditional, kind of the old school external vacuum sealers, the type that you put it in the bag and you just put the edge of the bag on it and it seals it down. We have an LEM model that we've used for several years now. If we were to take all that chicken and just put it in Ziploc bags, even if they were freezer bags, and you try to use a straw and suck all the air out, do whatever, then that chicken in the freezer wouldn't last nearly as long. Freezer burn, all of those things would be an issue. So a vacuum sealer, of course, is going to help you keep your food that you're putting in the freezer last much, much longer. In fact, we've been able to eat on food that's 3 to 4 years old. Obviously, I can't sell that, but personally, we consume protein that we've had in the freezer for as many as 3 or 4 years. So utilizing that sealer is going to help your protein last longer, or anything you put in the freezer last longer. But it's not just exclusive for things that you've processed or just harvested from the garden and prepared to go in the freezer. It could be things that you've already prepared. So for example, and I would have had more for this video, but I waited later in the day and ate a decent portion of this. But let's take, for example, so we smoked some chicken thighs and legs the other day on the smoker and did quite a bit and had some left over. So I could leave this in the refrigerator and maybe one of us, boys or I or Kelly, will eat on that. But since it's already smoked and already prepared, I say, well, let's actually hang on to that. Maybe I need that for another situation. So I could obviously easily take that, slap it into a freezer bag or a vacuum bag. Turn our vacuum sealer on. The bags I'm using are 10 by 13, so they're all common size. Of course, I could just toss that in there real quick. And there, so have very nice vacuum sealed chicken, not a scotch of air in that. So I could toss that into the freezer, of course thaw that out and use it whenever we want to use that. So the chamber vacuum that I'm using is a VEVOR DZ260C, and really been impressed with this thing so far. In full disclosure, VEVOR did send this to me. I did not purchase this, so they did send it to me. I think they saw me using my small LEM and felt sorry for me. Chamber vacuum sealers are superior in the sense that they just do a better job of sealing up the product. And what's interesting, you can actually seal up water or liquids. So I did a test the other day and sealed up water. And this has been sealed up for a while now, and no issues. So when you think about that, why would you need to seal up water? Well, if you're making sauces, so maybe you want to make tomato sauces, and I've seen people do that where they'll make them and they'll put them on a pan in their freezer flat like that, and then once it's frozen, then you can stack them. So you can put them upright like books, or stack them in your freezers like sheets. Now you've got your sauces ready to go whenever you need them. So that's kind of a handy thing to do. Since with a chamber vacuum sealer, you're putting your product inside the vacuum, then it closes up much better, pulls out all the air better, and doesn't draw moisture out. That was the issue when we were doing our chickens. You put a piece of chicken that was still damp or moist from being rinsed and cleaned, and as it's slowly drawing the air out of the bag, creating that vacuum, it also is drawing that moisture and liquids up, and sometimes they'll get across the area where the sealing bar is going to be, and you not get a good seal. The beauty of these things is they build up pressure and then all at once suck out, so there's not an opportunity to draw that moisture out. So another reason to add a vacuum sealer to your pantry is taking advantage of bulk buying. So let's say you don't have a homestead, you don't necessarily raise your own meat, or you don't have a huge garden, but you keep an eye out at box stores or large grocery stores for really good deals on things. You know, you go to the meat aisle and maybe they've got a bunch of stuff on closeout because it's getting ready to hit that date that they've got to pull it off the shelves. You can bring all of that home, bust it out of its cellophane or styrofoam packaging, and put it in vacuum bags and seal all of that down, then put it in your freezer. And you can get a lot of meat, a lot of bulk product put away that's going to last a long time. So you get the economy of scale of purchasing all of that, but you don't have the waste over time, simply because the product's going to stay viable in the vacuum bag in your freezer for a lot longer time. So another reason I wanted to get a vacuum sealer is to free up some freezer space. So as you can see here, in our stand-up freezer, which I absolutely hate these things, but Kelly loves stand-up freezers because you can see everything. But we buy a lot of flour. We like to have that flour in stock, but it takes up a bit of freezer space. So we can actually take that out of the freezer and vacuum seal it and make it shelf stable for as many as 3 years. So as an example, I'm going to take one of Kelly's 5-pound bags of whole wheat flour and I'm going to throw it in the garbage. No, I'm going to vacuum seal it. I'm going to bust it up into two portions and vacuum seal it so we can put that in the pantry and get it out of the freezer, thus freeing up freezer space for whatever else we need to put in there. I'm going to take my Sharpie here and write whole wheat flour. I'll write 2.5 lbs and today's date. I'm going to try to get all this in the bag without slinging it everywhere. Alright, so we'll stick it in the sealer here. What it's doing is counting down the vacuum time. We can set the vacuum time, and I believe it's counting down from 35 seconds. It's got a sealing time set of 2.2 seconds and a cooling time set of 2 seconds. All that can be changed to whatever you need it to do. But what's really neat, when it gets down here to 0, it's going to it's going to click and then throw that vacuum and suck all that air out all at once, seal for 2.2 seconds, and then cool off the bar before it releases. Here it goes. And there we go. The thing is hard as a rock. Sealed, not a bit of air in it. Looking great. So now I can put that on the shelf in the pantry and of course need to do the other bag, but that frees up 5 pounds of storage in our freezer for other things that maybe I can't vacuum seal. So let me get the other bag done. exciting. So I'm going to toss these in the pantry. So the fourth reason why I think you need a vacuum sealer in your pantry is kind of a matter of convenience. Now, I absolutely love dehydrated pineapple. In fact, I'm going to have a hard time shooting this video without chewing all of it. But the problem with dehydrated pineapples when you do a big, this is, well, it was 4 pineapples worth, but just like the chicken, I ate a tray of it before it was time to do the video. Dehydrated pineapple is an awesome snack if you like super sweet, like if you like candy, like if you're a gummy bear or a Jolly Rancher kind of person, and you don't want all the junk, then I'd highly recommend dehydrating some pineapple. Of course, you need a dehydrator to do that. But the situation with the vacuum sealer, of course, is being able to package these up. And I did one already. But I want to be able to create little snack bags. Because, like I said, if I had all these in one setting or in just one container, I would probably sit and eat the whole thing, which would not be good. So I'll make little packets like this that when we go camping, hiking, whatever the case may be, a day hike, then toss one of these in the bag, and voila, I've got really instant snacks. So I can obviously buy different size bags to put these in, or I can even cut these down, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to separate this out in what I think would be a Troy size appropriate snack bag. We'll see. Maybe I'll just go with the 10 by 13 and vacuum seal those real quick, and then we'll be able to put those in the pantry as well. Go with 1 ounce. Well, let's do a couple 2 ounces. You know, I can't think of anything more fun to do on a Saturday night, that's for sure. So there we go. So there's, well, I would say 4 pineapples, but like I said, I ate a whole tray, so that's 1/3 less, all vacuum sealed. Now, another point of convenience, a part of my point 4 of convenience is packaging stuff like this just so you can grab and go, but also think about if you, like my youngest son really likes to bake and cook, so there's times that he's got a bunch going on with homeschooling and he made me want to make some cookies or something. Well, we could sit down and put a whole bunch of dry ingredients together, go ahead and batch them, so we can have the sugar, the flour, the chocolate chips, all the stuff that goes into, all the dry goods that go into cookies, put those in a bag, mix them all up, vacuum seal it, throw them on the shelf. That way when he wants to come down and make some cookies, you know, he's already ahead of the game there. Same with anything, any type of dry goods meal that you're doing. Well, if you're interested in this vacuum sealer or any vacuum sealer, be sure to check online. These things have become very, very affordable. In fact, this VEVOR DZ260C is only just a cat's whisker over $400. And if you actually register on their site, it's less than $400. And they're also allowing me to use an offer code that can knock 5% off. So, you know, and shipping is free on these. So for about $400 by the time you buy your bags, and I'll link to the bags, I get those from Amazon. By the time you get your bags and your vacuum sealer, for about $400, you could really be putting away a lot of food, and you can do a lot faster and have much better seals with the chamber vacuum that you get with the old school style. So check that out, and we're just going to keep going. And when we do chicken processing, when we do garden, we freeze a lot of stuff in our garden, we'll be using this thing big time. You may see it later on in videos to come as well as we get more into the season. Well, I appreciate everybody watching. Y'all take care.